Welcome to Tuesday. I hope you had a great Easter break. Let's jump into today. We're going to start with some definitions. Let's start just by filling these in and then talking. So the blank quartile is the median of the lower half of data. That is the lower quartile. And you notice that word there, I pronounce that quartile, okay? We know that QUA often means 4, and it does in this case too. Then we have the blank quartile is the median for all the data, and this is really a key word. You guys already know how to find median, but we have another name for it. It's called the middle quartile. Then the blank quartile is the median for the upper half of data. All right, so that is the upper quartile. These are not very creative words, but they make sense, right? Lower quartile is the median for the lower half of data. The middle quartile is the median for all of the data, which you guys already know how to find. It's just the median. The upper quartile is the median for the upper half of data. Now we have one other new term to learn, and that is the interquartile range. The interquartile range is the difference. We know difference means subtraction between the upper and lower quartile. So the upper quartile, whatever number that is, we subtract the lower quartile, and that is the interquartile range. Okay? Now, we use this information to build a diagram. This section is all about using graphs and diagrams to represent data. By looking at a picture, by looking at a bar graph, we are able to understand what, or at least have an idea of what is going on in this data set. So looking at this, we can see that a box and whisker is comprised of different parts. It is comprised of a minimum and a maximum. It is comprised of a lower and upper quartile. And this median, if you'd like to, you can say in parentheses, the median also means the same thing as the middle quartile. Okay, those two words mean the same thing, median and middle quartile. Okay, so with that in mind, let's jump into today. Now, you just saw a lot of words, and you may still not understand what they mean, and that is okay, because we are going to look at an example, and we're going to make this practical. So, let's look at example 1. So, example number 1. Our goal is to make a box and whisker. Okay, and we learned back on the other side that we need 5 things, right? We need the smallest value, and this right here says upper extreme. Upper extreme just means the greatest value. I just didn't change that. It means the same thing, but if it's more helpful to see greatest value, I'll write that in. And we're going to find the median, the lower quartile, and the, what did I do here? Oh, this here, sorry. I'll edit this as we go through. Smallest value, this should be the upper quartile. Somehow that got changed. And you can't see what I'm writing. Upper quartile. So we're given a set of data. The very first thing we need to do is order the data. And that's what we've had to do before. So the smallest value I see here is 2. Bring that down. I see a 3 and a 3, so I'll bring both of those down. I'm crossing them off so I make sure I do not lose anything here. Then I have a 4, 5, 6, and 8. All right, we've got them all brought down. Now we're ready to fill in these 5 things. So first of all, smallest value, very simple. What is the smallest value here? Well, it's 2. All right, coming down here, we're going to switch around a little bit. Largest value. Well, the largest value here, all the way to the right, if we order them least to greatest, is going to be 8. Okay, now there's one other word we know here, and that's median. Median means what? Middle number. And you guys already learned how to find this, so let's do that. Often we used crossing off, and you can use that. Just be careful not to cover up your number, so I may just make a mark below it. So we'll say low, high, low, high, low, high. So we have 3 below and 3 above, and we have our median. So the median of this data is 4. Now we're going to find the upper quartile and the lower quartile. Now the definitions, if we look back, said that the upper quartile is the median for the upper half of data and the lower quartile is the median for the lower half of data. Well, how do you know what's the lower and what's the upper? Well, once you have found the median, and here because it's just one number, we didn't have to average two numbers since it's just one number, we take the numbers to the right of it, and those are the upper set of data. And the numbers to the left of it, or the lower numbers, this is the lower half of data. Now our answer to lower quartile is not 2, 3, and 3. All right, we're going to, and remember the definition, let's just use the definition, lower quartile is the median of the lower half of data. So looking at this lower half of data, 2, 3, and 3, how do you find the middle of it? Well, let's cross it off this time. Low, high, there's only 3 numbers, right? So you can see right here, we have found the median of the lower set of data, and so that is 3. The last thing we're going to write down here is the upper quartile. Remember, I had some problems there at the beginning. Upper quartile. So that's the median for the upper half of data, and we marked it up here. This is the upper half of data. Notice we did not include our median in it. If it helps you, you can cross it off and just focus on the lower and the upper. Now looking at our upper, again, we have 3 numbers. It's always going to be the same on both sides, right? Because it's split in half. And then we have 5, 6, and 8. So low, high, and that just leaves 6 as the median for the upper set of data. So now we have found all of these values. The smallest value is 2, the upper quartile is 6, the median is 4, the lower quartile is 3, and the largest value is 8. Now we are going to take that information and convert it into a box and whisker. So I want you to keep these notes handy because they're going to be really helpful as we set this up. Now you notice, okay, I'm going to scoot down and we're going to work on this number line. So you're going to have to look back at your data, okay? But you guys can see your own data. You've got it written down. If you didn't write it down, go back, rewind, and copy it down. You should be copying with me, writing along, and figuring as we go. So first of all, I'm just going to mark all the important parts. The important parts are the smallest value, the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, and the largest value. So, starting with my smallest value, it's 2. Now, we do not write directly on the number line. We're going to write above it. So, the smallest value is 2. Then, the largest value, and we can kind of go in whatever order we want. I'm going to skip around a little bit. There's the smallest value. The largest value, according to our work, was 8. Then our median, which is what we found next, you have to find median before you can find upper and lower quartile. Median was 4, so we'll put a point there. We're not going to just leave it as points, but that's how we're going to start. And then our lower quartile is 3, and 3 is down here. So I'll put it straight above that. And then the upper quartile was 6, so above 6 we'll put a point there. Now notice, the box is on, so we'll create 3 lines on the lower quartile, the median, and the upper quartile, or the middle quartile, we can say instead of median. So on those 3 points, so the lower quartile, we'll put a line there. On the middle quartile, we'll put a line. And on the upper quartile. So on all of those quartile points, we'll put lines. And then we connect them into our box. And then we also, you notice those whiskers, we connect to the smallest value and the largest value. So coming back over here, we're going to connect to the smallest value and the largest value. And we have now drawn a box and whisker. Now you might say, why can't we just put the whisker in the middle like it is here? Why do we have to use a number line? Well, this box and whisker, when I look at it, I can see that the data is slightly to the left. That means that there's more small numbers in our data set. And if you look back at our data set, you'll notice that that is true, right? We had 2, 3, 3, 4. So there were more concentrated numbers here. The smaller that these are means the more of those numbers there are, the more concentrated the data is. So quickly by looking at it, we can understand more what the data looked like. Right, okay. Looking at example number 2, we are given a data set and we are going to create a box and whisker again. So with that in mind, first thing we need to do is order the data. So smallest to largest is the way I'm going to do it here. Be careful not to miss anything. So we have 16. We have, let's see what's our next smallest here. Go ahead and do this as I'm doing it. Don't just wait for me to do it. I see 29 and 29. Then I see 30. I see 35, 39. I see 40. I see 44. I see 50. And I see 51. And then 70. The reason I cross these off is to make sure I don't make a mistake. If you make a mistake at this point, you will get it wrong merely because you ordered your data incorrectly or left out a number. And that is really sad. So make sure you've got them all, and you can count how many you had and how many you have now. Just be careful with that because you'll have to redo all your work if you don't, or if you make a mistake there. So first of all, we are asked for those minimums and maximums. So let's fill those in very simply. The smallest number is 16, that's the minimum. And the largest number here is 70, that's the maximum. All right, so we have that all taken care of. Now, remember, the first thing we have to find here is the median. You have to find the median before you can find, and this again should say upper quartile, before you can find the median. So let's go ahead and do that. In our previous example, we used the words smallest and greatest value, but do know minimum and maximum mean the same thing, okay? We're just kind of elevating the vocabulary here. So let's find the median. We know the median is the middle number, and I'm just going to use this pencil to cross off low and high so that we can still read the numbers. So low, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have one more on this side. So we have 5 on this side and 5 on this side. Okay, with that in mind, what is our median? It is 39. So I'm going to fill in my median or middle quartile as 39. Now we can find the upper quartile and the lower quartile. So first of all, we need to distinguish our groups of data. So since we only have one median, we didn't have to average two numbers. We exclude that number from the data, and all the numbers below it are part of the lower set of data, and all the numbers above it are part of the upper set of data, right? The smaller numbers are the lower, and the larger are the upper, which makes sense. From there, we are now going to find the lower quartile, right, which is just the median of this lower set of data, and we're going to find the upper quartile, which is just the median of this upper set of data. So let's start with upper quartile, since it's first here in our list. Upper quartile, so we're given these 5 numbers. Now you can cross these off. You can also think 5 is odd, so what number is going to be in the middle? I'll cross them off for you. Low, high, low, high. So we have 2 below, 2 above. We are left with 50 as our upper quartile. Moving to lower quartile, we're looking at this lower set of data. Again, there's 5 pieces of data here. It's going to be the same number on both sides. So we know that it's just going to be this one in between these 2 on either side. I'll show it to you though. Low, high, and we found our median of the lower set of data, or lower quartile. So we have 29. They do also ask for interquartile range. We remember from our notes, if you look back, the definition was the difference between the upper and lower quartile. So the upper quartile is 50 and the lower quartile is 29. So 50 minus 29 is what? Hopefully you got that. It was 21. Now we will not use this information to build our box and whisker, but it's a piece of information we were asked for. So let's build that box and whisker. Remember, now in the previous problem, they gave you a number line. You can create your own number line. Now we are given values here that range from 16, right, to what, 70. So I'm going to create a number line to help guide my work. Now, is the number line part of my answer? No, the box and whisker is my answer, but it uses, I use that to create an accurate box and whisker. And I'm going to count by tens, and we need to start, we have 16 and we have 70 as our low and high, or minimum and maximum. So I'm going to count by tens, and I'm going to start at 10 and go through 70. We could go a little past the 82. Try to create as equal distance as possible, because if your number line isn't equal distance, then your box and whisker won't be representative. So we'll just kind of make some even markings. So this will be 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, so we're working on that number line. We have 40, 50, 60, 70, and those are fairly equal. You could always get a ruler out and do them like a centimeter apart or something to get a really nice, consistent box and whisker, but I think that'll be good enough. So, first of all, I'm going to put my 5 important points. I'm going to put my minimum. Now, do I have a 16 on this number line? No, I have to estimate. So, between 10 and 20, exactly in the middle is going to be 15, so just slightly to the right, really almost undetectable. So, 16, then we have a maximum of 70, so I'll go drop that number up here. Or that point, I should say. Then we have an upper quartile of 50, so straight above 50, we'll put those. We're trying to line these points up. I'm not doing a very great job. Our median is 39, so again, almost to 40. We'll put a point there. And then, what did we miss here? Oh, our lower quartile, which is 29, so again, almost to 30. All right, we've got our 5 points, and now we create that box within those quartiles here. So the lower, middle, and upper quartiles, we put those lines through, and we'll connect them into our box. And then again, we connect the box to the maximum and to the minimum. Now we have a diagram that represents the data. We can see that there is this outlier here, 70. We see there's the data is slightly concentrated to the lower end here. We can see that this is fairly average as far as how long or how short it is. So a fairly average spread of data there. So not super close together or super far apart. And that's what we can kind of see from that box and whisker. And that is our second example. So for your homework, you are given another set of data. Do notice it is not, or it is ordered, I should say. So you got off there. You are going to take that set of data and you are going to find the minimum, and you're going to find the upper quartile, not upper extreme here. You're going to find the median, the lower quartile, the maximum, and the interquartile range. You will also be creating a box and whisker. Make sure that you are using some method to keep it stable, such as a number line. Remember, the number line is not your answer, though. It is just the box and whisker. Just like if we look up here, the box and whisker is the answer. This helped us keep it accurate. So, I will see you guys. All right, so let's try another example. We're given a set of data here. We are going to find those same 5 things. You notice instead of the words smallest value and greatest value, we're using the words minimum and maximum. They mean the same thing. Okay, so if you'd like to, you can write next to them for minimum, smallest value, and for maximum, largest value. But it should be pretty intuitive. We know what those words mean. So without further ado, let's find these 5 values. And you'll notice the data set that I've given us here is already ordered. So we can find the minimum and maximum very quickly. The minimum, or the smallest value, we can see all the way to the left, is 12. And the maximum, or the largest value, is all the way to the right at 31. Okay? And now remember, we must first find the median before we can find the upper and lower quartiles. And again, we have this type. So, starting with that median, we know how to find median. It is that middle number. We can use crossing out to do that. I'm going to use a pencil so I can still see the number. So low, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. Now we have 4, high. We have 4 numbers down here and 4 up here. So we actually have 2. When we have 2, what do? We should average them. So we're going to take 19 and 22, and we will add them up and do what? Divide by 2, right? So 9 plus 2 is 11, carry the 1. 1, 1, and 2 give us 4. So we have 41. We need to divide that by 2. So we have 41 divided by 2. 2 goes into 4 twice. We subtract, we're left with 0. 2 goes into 1 0 times. Add that decimal point in 0, bring it down. 2 goes into 10 5 times, and it does go evenly. So we get 20.5. So that is our median, right? Now, you'll notice this data set is a little different. In our previous problem, it had an odd number, so there was only one median, and then we just excluded it, right? Well, in this example, if you have two numbers as your middle numbers and you have to average them, what you do is you chop it right down the middle, and this set over here, including the median, this lower median, we're going to call this the lower set of data, and then we'll include this number that we use to factor in our median with the upper half of data. Okay? So if there's only one median, you just exclude it, like in our previous problem. If there are two where we have to average them together, we split it down the middle, and the lower one goes with the lower set of data, and the larger one goes with the upper set. Now let's find upper and lower quartile. Starting with the lower quartile, we're just skipping around here. No particular order, you just have to do median first. Lower quartile, so looking at this lower half of data, it's the median of these numbers. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers here. So we're going to find the middle of those. Now you may know 2 below, 2 above, we'll put 17 in the middle, but you can also cross out low, high, and your lower quartile, or median of the lower portion of data, is 17. Then moving to our upper quartile, we again have 5 pieces of data. It should be the same on each side, and we know that it's going to be 29. And so we have our upper quartile. Now from here, we are going to create our box and whisker. So let's do it. One question I didn't... Let's draw our box and whisker. First of all, let's draw the number line. Now in this problem, they didn't give us a number line. We're going to draw our own. That number line is not part of the answer. It just helps us keep our work organized. So we see numbers as low as 12 up to 31. I'm going to count by 5s on my number line, but you could do whatever you want here. So we'll do 5. These need to be an equal distance apart. 10, 15, or as equal as possible. 30, 35. Okay, so first I'm going to plot these 5 above it. And again, we're not putting it on the number line, so our minimum is 12. So a little past 10, we'll put 12. Then we have 29, so nearly to 30. Then our median is 20 point... Oh my goodness. Okay, so now we're ready to draw our box and whisker. Before we do that, we're going to use a number line. Now in the previous problem, I gave you the number line. In this problem, I'm going to have you draw the number line. The number line is not part of the answer. It just helps us keep our work consistent. So draw your number line in, and I'm going to cut it into pieces. I'm not going to count by 1s. We won't be able to fit because it goes all the way to 29. I'm going to count by 5. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and we'll put 35. Okay, so these are pretty equal distant, so we'll use those. So first of all, I'm going to plot my 5 points. So we have the minimum is 12, the upper quartile is 29, so nearly to 30 I'll put a point, median 20.5, so we have 20 and just barely past it, almost unnoticeably. Lower quartile is 17, so in between 15 and 20, it'll be closer to 15, but a little ways over there, nearly half, right? Half would be 17 and 17.5, so we'll just go a little bit off-centered. And then lastly, our maximum is 31, so a little past 30. Okay, so now we're going to draw in those 3 lines on our lower, middle, and upper quartile, and then connect it into that box. From there, we connect our minimum and our maximum. So looking at this box and whisker, we can see that the data is definitely shifted high here. Notice it's very close to the maximum, okay? So the data is more concentrated in the higher spectrum. We can also see that this is a fairly long bar in relation to the length of our whiskers. So we would say the data is fairly spread out as well. So that is our lesson.